Welcome to the SoftEd webinar. We are so thrilled to have Alex Townsend here from Prairie, and he has a really cool topic talking about n8n automation, and I'll let him introduce himself in just a moment. Wanted to let everyone know that we are recording, and this will be available after the webinar. So we'll send you the recording as soon as it's ready. And another note about this webinar is that we really encourage you to ask questions. I think for the most part, we'll take questions at the end. So if you have any, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll save them for the end for Alex. We really want to make this as relevant to you as possible. I know we've got a mixed group here. I'm sure you all have different roles and different situations work-wise. So feel free to ask what makes sense for your role and your work that you're working on. This is a new area, AI automation. So there's no dumb questions. There's nothing to beginner level. We want to meet you where you are in your journey of understanding AI and automation. So please feel free to let us know what your thoughts are, your concerns, or certainly your questions as we go along. With that, Alex, I'd love to turn it over to you to introduce yourself and get started.
Great. Thank you very much. So my name is Alex Townsend, and I'm co-founder of AI Automation Integration Company. And we're going to talk to you today about AI automation, and particularly n8n. And we'll also talk about some of the other apps that are also popular in that space, and we'll compare and contrast, and then we'll talk more deeply about n8n. So welcome everyone. This session is all about automations that save time and reduce errors, and the kind that you can start without deep technical chops. By the end, you'll know it's realistic to DIY and how to decide when it's smarter to bring in help. We've packed in the next half hour with fast comparison of the major tools, practical n8n use cases for small, medium business teams, and a short demo preview. Lara from SoftEd and Patricia, who's a Prairie co-founder, are with me as moderators. They'll wrangle chat, launch a couple quick polls, and share links. If the Q&A gets lively, we're happy to stay a bit past and continue. One quick promise, no theory for theory's sake. If it doesn't reduce clicks, cut handoffs, or prevent mistakes, it's out. If it does, it's in. So everybody put your nerd hats on, jargon's dialed down, let's get to it. So if you're running a small or mid-sized team and wearing 3 hats before lunch, this is for you. Owners, marketers, RevOps, and support leads who need reliable workflows without babysitting them. You don't need to code, you just need a clear outcome. Fewer manual steps, cleaner data, faster follow-up. We'll stay out of the weeds and we'll focus on practical wins over theory, things you can adopt immediately. So here's our route. First, a quick landscape. Zapier, Make, OpenAI Agent Kit, and n8n. So you see where each shines. Then we'll go ground on n8n basics, show practical use cases, and cover hosting options, including Windows-friendly self-hosts. We'll preview a cold outreach demo so you see the moving parts, and finish with resources, a call to action, and question and answers. If questions are flying, we'll happily run over. We mentioned that before. So 4 names to anchor on. Think of them like tools in a workshop. Zapier is a cordless screwdriver, super fast to pick up, massive app library, perfect for common if this then that tasks. Make is the pegboard with custom jigs, highly visual scenarios, excellent data mapping and branching when flows have lots of forks. OpenAI Agent Kit is a robotics bench, agent-first workflows with reasoning steps, powerful, but it does assume some developer fluency in the OpenAI space. And n8n is the modular workbench you own, open source, runs in the cloud, on your server, plug-in friendly, and great when you need control and flexibility. We'll compare them in a moment, but Keep these one-liners in mind as our mental map. So let's line up the trade-offs you'll actually feel day to day. With setup speed and learning curves, Zapier is fastest from 0 to live. Make is quick, but the visual power means a slightly longer on-ramp. n8n takes touch more setup, but it's still approachable. AgentKit requires more technical development skills and coding, although there are some features that you can just, it's a mix. OpenAI's new AgentKit is brand new, and they're still adding things to it, and it's in beta at this point, so we haven't really seen how that's going to entirely compare yet. But you will be limited to the OpenAI ecosystem, meaning if you use the AgentKit, you're going to have to use OpenAI LLMs for all your LLM calls, whereas with the others, you can choose which LLMs that you want to use for what calls. So in terms of flexibility and extensibility, make an n8n shine for complex branching and rich payload mapping. n8n goes furthest when you need custom nodes, webhooks, or drop-in code. Zapier handles common cases well, and it's less happy with heavy branching. AgentKit is the most flexible for AI-driven logic. Again, dev required. As far as data control and hosting, Zapier and Make are software as service. Fast, maintain, but your data passes through their cloud. n8n can run self-hosted or cloud, so you get to choose where the data lives. That's why I prefer it myself. For that and numerous other reasons. AgentKit runs in your stack, so you own the plumbing. With Zapier and Make, convenience, you have some convenience with recipe lock-in. n8n is open source JSON exports. It's easier to move and fork. AgentKit is code level portable if you maintain it. So the gist, SaaS gets you moving fast, n8n buys control and customization. AgentKit is for AI native builds with dev cycles. So AI tools like Zapier, Make, and n8n now let you add small AI steps to a workflow. For example, having the AI write text or sort support tickets. These are great when you just need AI to do one simple task inside a larger automation. Agent-first systems like OpenAI AgentsKit are different. They let the AI think through multiple steps, pick which tool to use, repeat actions, and deal with uncertainty. This is also being covered by something called MCP, which a lot of different companies are developing, Model Context Protocol, and that's one protocol industry-wide for how agents you can modify like an MCP agent, which then you can connect to other individual agents that have specific tasks. So an MCP is like a larger agent that can look through the different other agent tools you have available and wisely pick which one to use. And that's still very much new and very much in development. So in short, use AI steps to enhance your current automations. Use agents when you need an autonomous helper. So if you know what your flow is going to be and all the automation and all your information is going to be the same throughout your, from run to run, not that the data will be the same, but the same constraints, and then you don't need decision making, then you don't really need to add in AI automation to that. You don't need to have an LLM bring into that. You can still automate that process, but there are times when you want the AI to make decisions based on your criteria. So here's a cheat sheet that you can screenshot. If you want quick wins, wiring popular apps together, Zapier and Make are your fastest path. Minimal step, lots of connectors. But you're also going to be stuck on their platforms, and you're going to be stuck with their pricing models. If you need control and customization, own your data paths, deploy on your own terms, extend with custom logic, then n8n is your home base, and that's why we're here talking about today. If your problem is inherently AI native, reasoning, research, tool selection, then AgentKit is the right hammer with the caveat that it needs more skills to integrate into your larger system. So why n8n for this crowd? 3 plain English reasons. First, it's open source, so you can own your own data paths and avoid getting trapped in a recipe format you can't export. If compliance or cost curves bite later, you're not stuck. Second, it's a visual builder. Drag, drop, connect. Code is optional, but there when you want custom logic or an API call that the standard node just doesn't cover. Third, deployment flexibility. Start in n8n Cloud for speed, move to self-host when you want to control or tighter data residency. No need to rebuild. Flows export and import cleanly. So think of n8n like a Lego kit with standard bricks for 90% of the builds and a little bag of Technic pieces for the weird bits that your business actually needs. So here's where n8n earns its keep in small and medium business marketing and revenue generation operations. You have lead capture to enrichment to route. Take a form fill, enrich with firmographics, score it, and route to the right owner with a Slack ping and a CRM update. No human copy paste. Schedules, webhooks, approvals, alerts, run nightly jobs, react instantly to events, add manager approval step when needed, and alert the team if something fails. You can integrate almost anything. If it has an API, n8n can talk to it. And for the real world, it also plays nicely with CSVs, Google Sheets, and popular CRMs. Pattern to remember: trigger, transform, decide, deliver. Once you see flows that way, you'll spot 10 automations before lunch. So here's a micro example. A web form hits at 2:07 p.m. n8n enriches and scores. If score is greater than or equal to A-, assign to a rep. Create a deal. Slack DM with context. Else add to nurture list. Done. So here's how to start without boiling the ocean. Pick 1 to 2 high leverage tasks, something boring, frequent, and error prone, and name a success metric up front. So for example, cut speed to lead from 30 minutes to 5 seconds. Or really, no, I'm sorry. Cut speed to lead from 30 minutes to 5 minutes, or reduce bounced invoices by 80%. Gather credentials once and document the flow in plain English. So you have trigger, steps, outputs, owner. This saves hours later. Pilot for 2 weeks. If it moves the metric, scale. If it's meh, kill it quickly and pick the next candidate. Momentum beats perfection. So let's wire 3 common lead funnels. You have web form enrichment, score alert. As a form hits, n8n grabs the payload, calls an enrichment service, applies a simple score, and pings the right owner via Slack or email with context. As a bonus, you can create and attach a deal in your CRM so nothing gets orphaned. So let's say we have an event sign up to a drip plus calendar. Registrations trigger a drip sequence. Thank you plus reminder plus follow-up. And if someone requests time, auto-generate a calendar invite with a unique meeting link. No, did you get my Zoom threads? Another one is add leads, CSV, dedupe, route. When paid channels export leads, drop the CSV into a Drive or Google Sheets. n8n dedupes against your CRM and suppress list. And then routes owners based on territory or product line. Clean list, happy reps. The theme: speed to lead and clean assignments. Robots do the midnight chores, humans do the conversations. That's something I'd like to underscore. I see a lot of startups selling AI sales calls where you have an AI reach out to your lead list and call them on the phone. I mean, maybe if you have tens of thousands of leads to contact and you're only hoping for a very small percentage. I think I'd like it, just like it says, let's have the robot do the midnight chores and humans do the conversations. Humans respond well to other humans in sales realms. So beyond the leads, here are 3 force multipliers that can keep your pipelines clean and your reps focused. So we have a content pipeline. Drop a webinar transcript in Drive. n8n generates a summary, drafts a blog, spins social variants with tracked links. Final drafts route to a human for approval, then publish on a schedule. Content without the hamster wheel. Then let's say you have UTM and list hygiene. N8n enforces UDM standards on new links, flags bad tags, and bulk fixes legacy ones. Nightly jobs dedupe lists, remove hard bounces, and normalize fields, name casing, country codes. Better attribution, fewer ghost contacts. Another case, we have proposals to PDF to eSign. Rep clicks create proposals in CRM. N8n merges CRM fields into a doc template, exports a PDF, triggers e-signature. When signs, it auto-updates stage, posts a Slack win alert, and files a doc. Zero hunting for the latest version. Through line is automate the busy work, keep humans on conversations, and closing. So support and back office are where wins stack up. So more cases, we have ticket triage and SLA nudges. So new tickets get auto-categorized. Urgent ones get flagged by keyword sentiment and routed to the right queue. If an SLA is nearing, n8n nudges the owner and escalates if needed. Billing reminders and reconciliation. Nudge unpaid invoices into a cadence. Stop at paid and reconcile payments against your accounting system. Eliminate the "did we invoice that" shuffle. Another one is plain English return on investment. Don't overcomplicate it. Pick 3 levers: hours saved, faster responses, fewer misses. Example, we saved 6 hours a week of manual triage, reduced first response from 10 hours to 2 hours, and avoid missing 3 renewals a month. A simple estimate beats a complex spreadsheet when you're getting buy-in. So if you choose self-host, here's a 60-second checklist. Box size, you need a light VPN or VPS rather. 4GB RAM, 2 CPU, handles a small team just fine. That's basically what I'm running. I have it running on 4 gigs at this point, but I'm just moving our VPS up to 8 gigs because I have antivirus running, and that actually takes up a lot of headroom. And you certainly need you certainly always need your protection there. So for front door, you get a domain and SSL. Let's Encrypt is fine. Terminate the TLS as a reverse proxy using Nginx. That's exactly what I'm using, is Nginx as a reverse proxy. Some of this is really technical. You can just kind of ignore this part if you're not going to set up your own n8n server, but I just wanted to give you an idea of why it's valuable, and if you are that technical, how you can capitalize it. So then you have safety nets. You can schedule backups of the database, and you can track quick versions for rollouts. You can, for secrets, you can store API keys and environmental valuables in a secrets manager. You don't have your the credentials in your nodes. Certainly the way I do it. Reliability, turn on retries, add alerts for failed executions, and cap concurrency so a runaway job doesn't starve others. So the rule of thumb is, if you can deploy a basic web app, you can run n8n. Keep it boring, keep it documented, and you'll sleep just fine. So we've discussed 2 clean deployment paths. So you have n8n Cloud if you want speed, account, workspace done. Upgrades and security patches are handled for you. And n8n, n8n provides cloud hosting themselves, and they're pretty good in their pricing. And there are some other companies that also can host n8n for you. So if you self-host, if you want full control, run Docker on a small VPS or Windows using Docker Desktop with WSL2. So a general rule, start on cloud to prove value and move to self-host. If data residency, integrations, or cost curves push you there. So if you choose self-host, here's the, oh, we already went through that. There was like a double there. Okay. So Process keeps automations lovable. Use a 3-step rhythm. So it's you don't, a lot of people, when I see people talking about n8n, they're really focused on how the nodes work and all the things you need to learn to actually work the application. But one thing that I think doesn't get underscored enough is that the automation isn't going to have any value if you don't think your process through. It's not as if you're going to, load up n8n and you're just going to start dragging and dropping nodes onto the thing and they're just going to organize themselves. You need to still have a good understanding of how you want your processes to work and how each step needs to work for your system. And so you're going to use n8n to translate that into an automation for you. So you want to test your flow in a sandbox with sample data, approve with a quick checklist, owner alerts, rollback note, and publish to production. Short, repeatable, and it prevents who changed what mysteries. On portability, n8n flows are just JSON. You can export, import between workplaces, and you can start in cloud and move to self-host later without a rebuild. You can there's a button right in the interface, download JSON for this workflow, and then you can pop it into another n8n workflow. And as long as your credentials are already set up in that environment, it's just going to run straight out of the box. So you keep a versioned export after each change. So rollbacks are just one click away. So here's the anatomy of the demo workflow we'll talk through today. So we have triggers and inputs, which are a webhook. We submit a tiny form, industry, company size, geography. We're not going to use company size today. We're just going with industry and geography. And that hits on an n8n webhook and starts the flow. We timestamp it and create a run ID so everything stays traceable. So n8n calls Appify to collect prospects. We want to collect a list of prospects that match your inputs. We cap the count so this stays safe and fast, and think sample, not mass mailing. Ultimately, in my own workflow for this, I enrich with Apollo, but for saving time today, I made a simpler workflow which skips the Apollo process. And that during the Apollo process, after we've collected data on the companies we wanted and created a data set of that, we then pass that data set through Apollo, which verifies that our emails and other information is correct. And we can also, or rather enrichment through Apollo. Apollo gives us more information. Right now we're using a simple web scraping of websites to get added data on the businesses. And then use Hunter to verify the emails. So we're skipping a couple steps today just to keep the workflow more understandable. And so then finally, after it goes through those steps, an LLM drafts a personalized first touch email based on the role, the content, company context, and a mini value proposition. So, and we're not going to auto send. Drafts go to review queue so a human can approve, edit, or skip. And then it outputs to a table and we can send it well. So great automations behave well. There are 3 guardrails to make it safe and sane. You want to dedupe and suppress. Before anything reaches a human, we check against your CRM for existing concepts and a global suppress opt-out list. If they're in, we skip. Respect the relationship and protect deliverability. So then we have throttle and limits. We cap daily volume and rate limit, API calls, and call messages so nothing spikes or trips provider alarms. It also keeps your team from getting buried. And then human review is important. Drafts land in a review queue. Person approves, edits, or skips. And that's where tone, timing, and targeting stay on brand. What does good output look like? A table of qualified contacts, each with a verification status, plus clean draft emails ready to send. And then we watch three numbers only: reply rate, bounce rate, and meetings booked. If those trend the right way, scale. If not, adjust inputs or messaging. Another aspect of good automation is your actual prompts to your LLMs. So LLM prompts are not all created equal. So it's important for you to learn how to set up all the nodes in n8n. But if you're looking for generated AI content into your flow, you're going to have to also make sure that you put a lot of thought into your prompting. And the better you prompt, the better your results are going to be. And so another thing along those lines is these automations aren't static. There's APIs that they connect to that the people who the companies that offer those APIs, they can withdraw those or change those at any time. And so it's not as if it's like a one and done. You're going to create your automation, and you're gonna monitor how it's functioning. You can set up UIs. Generally, for myself, I can go in n8n and work the nodes and set up things there. But for a general user, you're going to want to create a user interface to turn off and on the node, to expose fields that you may want to update or add, such as in our case, the kind of industry you're looking for and the geographical area. And so those are all part of, in the end, of creating and supporting your automations. So here's a fast chooser if you want to revisit whether you go with a Zapier or a Make or any of the others. So go to Zapier if you need fast wins, wiring popular apps with minimum setup, and you don't really want to do anything that's particularly complicated. A lot of people start out, if they're total novices as far as tech is concerned, and they're interested in getting into the space, they usually go with Zapier first. Often, because n8n can be a little more, n8n is a lot more intimidating if you have no experience in the space and you're not technical. It's all doable, it's all learnable. It's just how much you can tolerate being in a technical space and learning something new in there. And that's going to dictate if you're doing it yourself, whether you choose one of the simpler or more advanced models, or whether you seek to hire someone who may be an expert in this field. So you can go to Make if you have, your flow is heavier matching, branching, but you want to stay in SaaS. You're comfortable paying somebody that monthly fee, having a lot of stuff done with you, but also some of what you can do being a little limited. And also, if you decide with Make or Zapier or AgentKit that you want to change to a different provider, a different platform, you have to redo all your automations, because they're platform specific. Now in n8n, you're also platform specific with your automations, but you can, because of the hosting options and the open source nature of the platform, you could start with n8n, and you decide you're not happy with their hosting, you can set up your own, or you can go with another host. So that's the flexibility that I enjoy particularly. So here are the tells that it's time to pivot. If you reach SaaS limits or lock-in, you're juggling workarounds, you're paying per task taxes, or you can't explore flows, you move your core jobs to n8n. With data residency, if you know you need to think about compliance, and you don't want your data leaking out anywhere, you need to tightly control that. Once again, you're going to go with n8n. So Once again, I'm Alex Townsend, I'm with Prairie, and we help teams design, pilot, and scale open source automations, n8n first, but we're tool agnostic when that's smarter. We offer 3 engagement shapes: a DIY starter if you want to jumpstart, a guided build if you want to learn by doing, and a managed service if you'd rather we own it. The outcomes we chase are simple: fewer manual steps, faster speed to lead, and cleaner data. So let's land this. We have 3 takeaways. Start small, 1 or 2 high leverage flows. Name a metric and pilot for 2 weeks. Use the right lane: SAS for quick wins, n8n for control, agents when you need reasoning. Document and safeguard: owners, alerts, retries, and a kill switch. Keep automations lovable. Resources: you'll need a starter checklist and a demo workflow export you can adapt. So your next step, if you want a sanity check on your use case, grab a discovery call, link, email, and give us a call. So we can have a Q&A now, but first, actually, before Q&A, I'm going to share a different tab, and we're going to go through a working workflow step by step. So now I assume everyone can see this workflow. So here, this is actually a simplified workflow. We are now in n8n. This is a simplified workflow of one I have working for myself. And I made it it looks a little complicated. And that's why I actually simplified it a little bit for this demo. But I will go through each step and I'll tell you what it does and why it does. So what this is a basic, simple cold email outreach automation. And it saves a lot of time and energy if you're looking to connect with new clients and you have an industry targeted and a geographical area. So every workflow needs something that starts it, and that's either an execute node where you actually click a button and start it, or this could be set on a scheduler, and this could run on a schedule. Another thing that can initiate a workflow is something called a webhook. So we can attach webhooks to different events in your website, other UIs, and when those events happen, say you have an event where you have a website and people can sign up and become members. You could, in your website, whenever anyone signs up and now you have a new member, you can trigger this workflow to send a welcome email personalized to your new member. So there's all different ways we can trigger a workflow. So for this one, we have a button node. So then in here, I have a Google Sheet, connection to a Google Sheet. And my Google Sheet, here's my Google Sheet right here. So here's my campaign input. So this is the one I was just testing with. So we'll give it, we're going to shorten our results down. So we'll go 5 results in each. So basically what this is set up for is to offer a city and a state, the industry we're searching for, and the max amount of results that we want to come back. So the automation starts with that button, comes here and goes to that Google Sheets form or that spreadsheet, gathers that data. Now for each row in that data, so we have a loop node. And our loop node is for looping over rows in data sets. So this has 2 rows in this data set. And so we want the entire action that's within this loop here to happen each time for each row in this data set. And that's what a loop does.
Can you expand your view? People are having a hard time seeing.
Okay. Is that better? Is that bigger? One little thing I don't love about the n8n workspace is I'd like to be able to just grab this workspace and slide it around, and it doesn't allow you to do that, unfortunately. I think they may allow you to do that in the future. For now, you can upsize and downsize, and you can grab different nodes and move them around this way. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to see, to make it big enough to read, but small enough where you can actually see what's going on. So I'll try to do my best with that here. So now we're in this loop, and you can see this is the end of the loop. This is where the loop originally initiates, and then all this in the loop happens over, and then it comes back again and does it until these rows are satisfied. And now I'll tell you what happens in this loop. So it takes the first row from the campaign input, and then it goes to Appify. We have set up a node for Appify. And what Appify does is Appify has what they call actors that you can employ to do web scraping. You could build these actors yourself if you had the coding background and the time, but they make Appify makes scrapers available for you, and they have a small charge per run, and you can access these via the API. And so I'm leveraging that right now. And so we have the input data over here, and then it comes and it scrapes Google Maps for that data, and it returns a data set. And in that data set, we have all our returns that met that criteria. So we have HVAC contractors coming up from Greensboro. We have Stokesdale as well. And we have information coming in. And then we use the next node is used to filter that information so that we can hand it to a web scraper. So basically, we're using this node to go out, or passing it JSON, notated information about our companies, filtered, and then we're passing it through a web scraper. And what the web scraper is doing, it's going out to each company website that we collected the information for. And it's going to their website, and it's scraping all the data that's available from their website, their company name, we already have that, but anything that we don't have, confirming emails, phone numbers we may not already have. And the most important thing, we're also collecting business context. We also want information about their mission statement, because we want to use all that information to help an LLM craft a response. So then it formats the scrape data, and then we have the data coming in two ways to the merge. We have the original Appify, the original data that we scraped from Appify, and then we have the extra data we collected, and that all's merged in this node together and combined into one view for that company. And then we format that in a way that sets up the save into our Google Doc, our Google Sheet rather. And in that save, here we now have our list of all those businesses. So now what it does here, change my view. I'm confused. I did. I couldn't show. Okay, yeah, I showed the worksheet. Okay. So now, once it's done through all those rows, we now have a complete picture of the business. And so now this loop completes, and we go done. And now we already have all that info in our sheet. So now we're going to get that lead info. We're going to read those rows one by one. And just like before, we have numerous rows. So this is going to loop over each row in our results. And in that, we're going to take one row, so one business, And then we go into this node, which is this is our LLM call. So right here, I'm connected to Open Router, and Open Router is a marketplace for LLMs. So with Open Router, I can pay one API for one API key, and I can use that same API key to connect to either ChatGPT, any model I choose, Claude, any LLM that has a public API, Open Router will allow you to connect. And so this is connecting to ChatGPT, and it's handing ChatGPT all the business context and all the information, and then it is creating for me a draft email that has been personalized for that business. And then we can take a look in here in our Google Sheet at one of those emails. So now you do have to, work a little with your formatting and exactly how you want that email to come out. But this is just a basic representation of what we can do here. So I will actually, this was, like I said, a simplified workflow. So I didn't have it actually formatted to put the name in here, but it would have the name of the contact. And now you see all the rest is personalized. I noticed Comfort Supply Co. strong presence in Stokesdale and your commitment to quality HVAC services. As someone who understands the challenges of managing customer relationships in the service industry, I wanted to reach out. Prairie helps HVAC companies like yours automate. And this is coming in based on our own company data that we've saved in a database as well, which an LLM can combine. So that's the basic workflow. I can actually press it and let it run, but this actually takes, and you can watch it run, but it actually takes some time to execute. So I don't think we'll sit and watch it run the whole way, but this is basically what it looks like. So it's gone and collected one row. It took the first row, and now, right now, it's scraping Appify for that company information. It's finished that, it's moved on, it saved it, came back, got the next row. Now it's doing it again. It'll be done in another few seconds. What really takes a long time is if we have, let's say, 20 returns, it's going to have to write emails. Oh, it writes one email, saves it, writes one email, saves it. So see, we'll be waiting for this process for a little while there. So I'll stop it too. But you'll see that we have the same returns. Streamline your HVAC operations at Webb. Heating and air is the subject. I noticed Webb Heating has been serving Greensboro families for over 45 years. So that's the power. I think you've gotten a glimpse. There's been a lot of technical jargon and things thrown at you. Hopefully, if you aren't super technical, you're able to listen through that and see not only how this works, but the value it provides and the time it saves. So I'm done with the presentation portion, and we can now take any questions that you have to ask. And I'm not sure how I bring up.
Thanks so much. I can help with that part. Reading out a couple questions, Alex. We had someone ask about pricing. Which one was the cheapest, or were there any free options between the tools you mentioned, Zapier, Make, n8n, and the other OpenAI?
I don't know. I'm not, and their pricing models with the platforms that cloud host only. Their pricing models do change a little bit from time to time, and since I don't use them a lot, I can't quote on the pricing models. But they might have small like free account that you could set up and do a couple little things with on Zapier and Make. You're not going to get much functionality without a payment on them. You're not going to really get, you might be able to sign on as Zapier and Make, set up an account, play with it a little, see if it's something that you can work with and you're comfortable in, and then maybe move to the lowest paid tier. But I don't think you're going to get like working automations that you could put into production on a free account with them. But with n8n, you could actually theoretically, because while I don't know, n8n cloud host, they might offer like an entry level free account where you can once again play around with it.
Yeah,
But
I think they had a 30-day free trial.
sure, but also you can just download n8n and run it on your computer, and it'll have all the same functionality. So you won't be able to deploy it necessarily and expose it to the internet for production on your home system, but you can download it and get a sense of, you can build out all workflows, you can play with them, endless amount. Like you could build dozens of workflows, learn how they work, execute them on your own system, just like I'm executing mine on my own system. Mine happens to be running on a VPS and it is exposed to the internet, but everything I showed you today in that workflow can be done on my home computer. Now, Agent Kit with OpenAI, that happens entirely within OpenAI, everything. And that only has been out a week, so there's not really anybody who really knows exactly, can speak to exactly how that works. But I do know that is going to be, if you're already in the OpenAI realm and you're comfortable in there and you already have like a membership subscription there, it's probably worth jumping in and playing around with it a little. I think there are some features that are real easy to try out if you're already in it, but it's definitely, the comfort level is going to be for people who are already comfortable in the OpenAI API zone. Right.
We have another question too from Maria saying, if we make something, is there a good place besides Reddit to use as a sounding board? So have you found any Slack channels or online
Could you be
community
more
forums?
specific as a sounding board, like looking for other people's help, or
Yeah,
could you get a
Maria, if
little
you
more
want to elaborate.
clarification?
Yes, to validate our flows.
I wouldn't go to Reddit to validate flows.
Yeah, she's saying a good place besides Reddit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I don't work that way myself, so I'm not sure what I could recommend, because I validate it myself. Like I'm testing it myself. I'm testing every step, but I am a technical person. So I actually haven't viewed it from, that perspective of what if I'm not a technical person, I'm working into this space and I'm looking for others to give me feedback. I'm not sure. Now,
She's saying she's a newbie, non-coder.
right. There's definitely, I haven't delved into the n8n space as far as community. I imagine there probably is an n8n community space like there is for WordPress. Like WordPress has a big dedicated community that can help you with answers. And one thing now that, I mean, you could always, at this point, other than I'll take this under advisement and I'll look, and if she gives me, if I have follow-up information for her, I will see if there are any forums that are better suited than what she's looking at for help. And simply, like, if you have a good LLM, like Claude is very helpful in troubleshooting and things. So just a $20 Claude membership on Anthropic. Now I use Claude is it's just like ChatGPT, but it's Anthropic's version of ChatGPT. And I like ChatGPT when I want to do like more creative kind of things, when I want like it to create like creative writing of a bot, like create a letter text, like and use some information and be creative about creating an email from scratch or writing song lyrics or things like that. But Claude, I go to more for coding questions. I feel like it's just there's a lot of crossover. You can use either for the other, but I feel like Claude is just better suited for that kind of help. So I would definitely say if you haven't already, you can have Claude help you build your n8n workflows and validate them if you don't have a community or in lieu of a community. I think both are probably good. If you can find a community, then you also have the benefit of them encouraging you and being like,
So
yay.
do you have the paid Claude, or is there, I'm not even sure if
I
there's.
I pay for Claude because I use it so often that I would quickly run into limits.
Okay.
But for and I the $20, there's a $20 a month tier for someone who's not using it all day, that's fine. So if that's what I would do. If and also here's another thing is there's a lot of videos now on n8n on YouTube. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend a particular channel because all the channels that present usually are kind of selling their instructional and they all have their own marketing aspect and they throw a lot of numbers out that you can't always necessarily believe of how much they're selling, etc. Um, but there is a lot of good n8n guidance to be found there. And so you
Okay.
can simply go on n8n on YouTube and put n8n workflows, and you can there's plenty that will guide you step by step, building a workflow. Now, once again, to deploying, you might have another set of hurdles if you're not comfortable with that because you have to once again expose it to the internet, connect with webhooks to integrate it. If you want to integrate it into your website where you have like a dashboard when you log in and you have controls for your automations, we can do that. That can be done. You could also just use simple like Grafana. You can, if anyone's heard of Grafana, that's like quick instant dashboarding. So you can go and pay for a Grafana account and then you get tools that you could link right to webhooks in your n8n workflow, and they'll show you, like you can have a dashboard configured to show you all different metrics that are associated with your workflow. So there are ways to do that kind of thing.
Okay, great. I don't see any more questions, but we can just end with a question from me. I'm curious about security issues and when you start setting up these connections between systems, do you feel confident that n8n is secure and is keeping your data secure at any of the other systems that you've connected to, or how does that kind of work?
Well, okay, so n8n connects natively to hundreds of APIs, and those are from all the most popular apps that you know and use, like we showed Google Sheets and all that. And so anything that gets, number one, all those nodes are using the native app API. So whatever security vulnerabilities exist or don't exist for that particular API owner, like Google Sheets, for instance, that's really their responsibility. n8n is only utilizing the API that's offered to them, right? So in that case, n8n offers no additional vulnerability, right? Other things you have to consider is the main thing you have to consider is how is your n8n instance exposed to the internet? So if you host through n8n cloud, it's already going to be protected, right? But if I self-host and I start a VPS and I put n8n on it, but I don't guard my my inputs from the web, I don't guard my then and let anybody come into it or access that, then I could be vulnerable. So the vulnerability comes in when you're self-hosting. Another vulnerability is just with LLMs in general, right? So we know that LLMs leak. We know that if you go on to just ChatGPT and type a whole bunch of personal information, once in a rare while, that personal information can pop up in someone else's chats, right? We know that. It's LLM leak. So if you have a situation where you're passing any sort of confidential information, number one, you have your choice to mask it before you pass that to an LLM, if possible. If you need the LLM to have access to that confidential information to make a decision, you can use a siloed LLM. So there are instances of LLMs like Llama allows you to do this, like Facebook's Llama. You can download Llama onto your own server and you have your own LLM model that's siloed. It's not connected to anything else. And you can use that just like any GPT. And so anything that goes in that is staying on your server and is not getting out. So any sort of, n8n has been, I think it came out in 2018, maybe. So even though it's gaining traction now in the last year, particularly, it's as a platform, it's been around for now 7 years, and there's a lot of money behind it, a lot of people using it. It's pretty robust. And certainly when any security vulnerabilities pop up, they patch them. But once again, those are generally regulated into how your instance is exposed.
Okay. So going back to that Google Drive example, you have the Google spreadsheet as part of your workflow. Are you giving n8n access to your entire Google Drive, or is it isolated to that one sheet?
So there's a section in n8n where you can add credentials, and you can add credentials for any of those different APIs that you connect to. And so during that credential process, it's just like when you for Google Sheets particularly, it's just like when you give Google permission for anything else. So let's say you go to a new website, a dating app or whatever, and it says, do you want to log in with Google? You can press a login with Google, right? And then it comes up with a little window that says, this is exactly what you're giving permission for. Either you give this or you don't, and you can choose what levels of permissions you give. And then once again, you can always revoke that permission. So it's all based on keys, and it's up to the user to take the keys that are given to them by the services and put them into n8n. And n8n keeps them and stores them encrypted in its own system. And so the only vulnerability is if you let someone log into your n8n and go into your credentials, or there's no exposure through the API connection. Because once again, if there was any kind of security risk, that would be on the onus of Google.
Okay.
Right?
Well, that helps a lot. And I hope that clarifies for anyone else who may have had concerns there. And I certainly appreciate you taking the time to answer these questions and present with us today. I think we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I want to wrap things up. Is there anything else you want to share before we close it out?
Myself, no, I just want to say thank you. And this was I really enjoyed myself. you
Happy to
know,
have you.
and I'm
And I'll be sending, yeah, sorry,
looking
go ahead.
forward to the next at Gen AI Day, so.
Yeah, Gen AI Day is November 6th. So visit softed.com for more information about a full day of virtual conference sessions. Alex is one of 10 speakers on November 6th. So we're really looking forward to that. And you can still get in with the early bird price if you go to softed.com and click on Gen AI Day. We have a really exciting lineup, and several of the speakers are talking about agentic AI. So should be a really fun day. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Laura Hill. You can find me on LinkedIn. My email is Lara, Larah at softed.com. Happy to connect with you. And thanks again, Alex and Patricia, for being
Thank
here today. We
you.
really appreciate all the information you've shared with us. And I hope everyone has a good rest of your day.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.